guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Rough, Tam McManus and Charlie Adam here with us. Delighted to have your company as we talk football, and no shortage of things to talk about in Scottish football. So if you get a chance and you're on Facebook, don't forget to follow us. Tell your friends to follow us and share the stream as well. We'd be absolutely delighted if you could do that. Thank you to the thousands and thousands of people joining the football family, not only on Facebook, but on YouTube as well. Hit the red subscribe button and join us there, and we're on Twitter as well. So there's all the platforms. You can give us your opinion as well. Tam, Charlie and Roughie will not be short of offering their opinion. There's the ongoing saga of Celtic. We'll be talking about Motherwell tonight as well, and of course the Championship clubs and the future as it stands at the moment, still in lockdown. You can give us your view on the way ahead. Now, Livingston against Celtic. There was a fair bit of snow on the pitch, Roughie, but they assure us that this game is getting the go-ahead. Despite that picture, it looks as if they'll be working tirelessly to make sure it's all clear to get the go-ahead.
Yeah, I think they better be working tirelessly if that's what the pitch is like now. I'm sure they'll be out with the brushes and everything. They'll be desperate. Absolutely desperate to get this game on, and both teams will be desperate to get it on. So let's hope that when they get the snow off, that there's no any ice under the snow as there was the other week there. But I think we all want to see it on. I think both sets of players and management want it on as well. So they've had a wee while to work on it. So let's hope they can get the goal.
And of course, Charlie, you missed all the magic and the mayhem of the last couple of days. It's still going on because I'm just looking at the Education Secretary, John Swinney's comments, fighting back against the blast really from Neil Lennon at quite a few quarters. People that he was unhappy with, never mind Sky Sports pundits, but he's had a blast at the government, with what he believes is an agenda against football, and certainly something against Celtic. John Swinney says he's lost for words on the criticism that's come the government's way with regards to this constant battle with Celtic over the trip to Dubai. He certainly reignited it on Monday, Charlie.
No, he did, and I'm in the camp where I think that he has a right to say something because the government knew all about this. It wasn't as if Celtic went there off their own back. The government knew about it, and also the government would have known before they played the Old Firm that the country was going to go into lockdown. So the government got to take a little bit of responsibility as well to say, listen, we're going to advise you that the country is going to go into lockdown. We advise you not to travel. But also then there is other case that we are in the middle of a pandemic, and were Celtic right or wrong? Listen, everybody has their opinion on it. I still stick that I don't think there was anything too ill-just with it. Yes, they've come back and they've had 2 positive cases, but out of 60 tests, it's not that bad. The reason that they've had 13 isolated cases is because they've obviously been around these 2 people that are positive. So if it come back with there was 13 positive tests, then that was obviously a huge risk. But I could see both sides of the party, and Neil, is obviously going to stick up for his football club, and the government are just, I think it has been a shambles from the government for the whole start to finish this whole pandemic and the lockdown and what they've done for us. So sometimes you just have to keep your mouth shut now and concentrate on playing football, and hopefully Celtic will do that tonight against Livingston. Tough match. I could see Livingston getting something out of it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to talk about that. I mean, Scott Brown's been backing his man on it. He's been standing by his manager on the comments. Although the big question now, and everybody will be casting their eye over it, Tam, is who's going to be missing? We know Julian's not there. There is one other player who was told to self-isolate. Now, my sources tell me that one other player who everybody will know is missing tonight, there could be one other missing off the back of him just because of maybe their close connection. That's all I'm saying to you, because I don't want to obviously, start throwing out names, because that's unfair to the player and the privacy that they want with regards to self-isolating at the moment.
Yeah, listen, it all depends on what sort of team Celtic have got out tonight. You know, I think if they've got the likes of Edward and Griffiths back and Callum McGregor and guys like that, who are, I think they'll go and win the game. But it just depends what sort of team they've got out. As Charlie said, Livingston away is a really, really tough game. When that AstroTurf, they're on a great run. And Celtic can't afford to drop any more points. You know, I think the league's gone anyway, but at least go down fighting. At least push Rangers, you know, a little bit. You know, don't hand them on a plate. Just make them win it. And I think if they do that tonight, then listen, there's an opportunity to go win the game. As Charlie said, it'll be tough, but it'll be interesting to see what sort of team they've got out.
Yeah, I get the feeling that we need to get Charlie to get himself a set of earphones soon again, because once his agent opens his big mouth, we always pick that up in there, you know, and that's all I'm saying to you. I was just about to say, just tell your agent to shut his mouth for longer than an hour, Charlie, which I have ignored.
It's a January window. We're trying to get some deals done in this place.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, as far as the game's concerned, Roughie, it's one of those strange ones because, listen, it's on a knife edge now with Neil Lennon. He knows he's a shrewd cookie. He knows that he's game by game and everybody will be calling for his head if there's another slip up along the way. So he's well aware of that. It's a difficult place to go even at the best of times, even if you've hit a bit of form. I mean, Celtic were on some form last season when they were trying to clinch the league, and they were delighted getting a draw at Livingston.
I think if you ask anybody that's been to Livingston, it's a struggle. You know, I think they've all went there and they don't get turned over on their own pitch. You know, if you're going to beat them, you have to really dig in, you know, and play particularly well. So, no, I think the manager and the players, whoever he selects tonight, will know exactly what they're up against. And they're up against a team, a forum side. You know, if this team hadn't won the last whatever it is before Gary Holt went, you would say, oh, well, this is a given. Celtic's going to win this one. But they're putting a good set of results, and they'll go into the players will go into the game with a lot of confidence. So I'm like Tam, it's all about team selection for me. You know, it depends if the Edwards and the Griffiths and the Christies and the McGregors and the Elanusis, if they're all available, we'll just have to wait until that team line comes out and make up our own mind.
Yeah, of course, Scott Brown, the Celtic captain, has been quick to point out, you know, the first team players, the regulars, will be back, and the formation that they've got is the key to success tonight and onwards to the end of the season.
Livingston's done fantastic, especially the last 9-10 games of the season, and they've had 8 wins, 1 draw against us, and they've done really well. But for us, every time we go to Dubai, we work extremely hard on different formations, and last year we went away, we worked on 3-5-2 coming back, so that we had that up our sleeve as well. And this year we went away, worked on 4-4-2, 4-3-3 as well, so we can chop and change formation.
Yeah, might be able to chop and change formation, but I can still hear Bill Shankly echoing in my ear. If you can't play football, it doesn't matter what formation you're playing, Tam. They're going to have to they're going to have to just roll their sleeves up and dig out wins. And I'll tell you one thing: on the evidence of what I watched at the weekend, Livingston know how to dig out wins.
Yeah, they certainly do, Peter. And as you said, it doesn't matter what formation Celtic go and play. You know, they could go and play 3-5-2, 4-4-2, whatever, but they've got to go and compete. They've got to be physical. You know, I've seen Livingston a lot this season. You know, they're a physical side. They've got tons of energy. Celtic have got to match that. You know, if they can go and match that, they've got better quality players to win the game. But it's up to Celtic to go there and roll the sleeves up and get a result. That's what it is at Livingston. It's not going to be a pretty game. Sometimes you've just got to win the battle first before you can win the war. And you know, guys like Marvin Bartley in there against Scott Brown, it'll be a great battle. Livingston are very solid at the back as well. You know, they'll play the 3 at the back. So interesting to see, but it all depends on what team Celtic's get out. You know, if Celtic's get a full strength team out, then I would fancy them to go and win the game.
Well, David Martindale, the Livingston boss, knows exactly how Celtic are going to play this one.
For what I can gather and what I've found out, I think Celtic, obviously I'll go back to the Old Firm game where they played the 4-4-2 diamond and done really well. I think they went over to Dubai and they've done a lot of shape on the 4-4-2 diamond with the players being available. So I'd expect, yeah, I've got momentum going on my side, but Celtic have still got a fantastic squad of individuals.
What a big week it is for him. David Martindale has got a chance to get Livingston into the final of the League Cup as well. Good to know that they've got a mole over in Dubai who told them exactly
I was
what
going
they're
to say that,
working
Peter.
on as well.
Got to say that, good
big effort.
sources.
Yeah, good. There's a leak. You can always tell when a club is under siege. There's a leak somewhere. Somebody's been giving out the team. There's always something. There's cracks in the enamel, Charlie. But I'll tell you one thing about Livingston, and this is the key to it. And you can work out all the formations you want. I did notice, Charlie. Apart from anything else, they work tirelessly on the high press. They force people into mistakes. And then, of course, apart from a couple of players that I know like playing football on the deck, they do go a kind of a real route one approach at times. I mean, their throw-ins, they were launching the ball, but the key to their going route one, Charlie, is they're told, get on the second ball. If it's dropping, make sure you're there to put the press in that final third.
Yeah, listen, Peter, I watched them at Dundee United earlier in the season, and they were hungry. They like you say, they work hard. They've not got somebody that's going to go and dictate the play. They need to play to their strengths, and that is going and winning second balls, being up against people, and making it horrible for teams. And it's different if Celtic were playing free flowing football. It's when you don't have the ball. It's easy, it is easier to allow Celtic to play, but you've got to get in their face. If you allow Celtic good time, space, good players will hurt you. And at the moment, they could smell a little bit of blood with Celtic in form. They're struggling with the confidence. And they went there Saturday. I watched the game Saturday just to see what it'd be like. And it caused Celtic a lot of problems. I know the team will be different tonight, but I still believe that Livingston can get at least a draw at this, and push the pressure on to Celtic again, because it's a great game. And let's say when you're a Livingston player, you need to be at it every week. You can't drop off it, and that's one thing that they've been this season. They've been at it every week, and they'll cause problems because the players that they play against most weeks are not good enough to keep hold of the ball. And if you put players under pressure, it makes the job harder.
Yeah, and the other part of this to throw into the mix, Roughie, which is unbelievable, is the fact that David Martindale is going to go into a hearing this week from the SFA to work out if he is a fit and proper person. This is, of course, off the back of he's served 4 years of a 6-year sentence for drugs and money laundering. Only in Scottish football, you actually are taking a step back thinking of what I've just said there. But my belief with David Martindale, like anybody else, who can show that they have reformed themselves, and I think people deserve a second chance, Roughie. And on the evidence of what David Martindale's done with his life, I think he should be given a second chance. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I listened to his interview at the weekend. He seemed quite an honest guy. That he spoke about it up there. He's not trying to hide it. It's there for everybody to see. I think he's went through all the procedures that he's had to go through, all the meetings he's had to go to reform. I think since he's went into the football club, obviously he's been very high up there with a lot of decisions they've been making. So it is drifting on a wee bit now, and it must be a horrible thing personally for him to deal with. I think the SFA had put it back to this afternoon at, I think it was 3:30, but he obviously couldn't do that with the Celtic game tonight. So I think the sooner it's done, the better, so that everybody can move on, and particularly him as a person who has, by all accounts, reformed, and he's doing particularly well in the football.
Yeah, the statement that David Martindale released regarding this is obviously they've got all the facts in front of them. I've been here before and presented my case. I'm relying on other people to allow me to do my job. The new act that Scottish football has come out with, Football Unites, is about diversity and unity. If they are serious about trying to impact that into Scottish football, I'd be disappointed if I was seen as not a fit and proper person. For the prison system to work, there has got to be a rehabilitation process. How do people get back into society? Do you want people, falling into a vicious circle and re-offending? If Scottish football is serious about being open-minded, rehabilitation should be seriously considered in that. That's a good point, Tam, because I wonder, though, if they had, if there was really an onus on the SFA to take into consideration David Martindale's case way earlier when he was an assistant and say, right, we think you're a fit and proper person now, before you get the point to being the manager. I mean, I don't buy into people saying, oh, wait a minute, he's won 8 games, he's proved he's a good manager, so they should allow him to do it. I think the decision should have been made earlier and let the boy get on with his job and let him understand that he has been accepted.
Yeah, listen, we all know he's been a big part of Livingston for the last few years as assistant manager and doing things off the park, getting the club sponsorship and different things. So, listen, he's been a huge part of the club, and you're right, it should have been done earlier, not just because he became a manager. Assistant manager, very similar jobs. You're working within football full time. So, I agree that rehabilitation has got to be at the foremost of everybody's minds. If you make mistakes, you go to prison, you do your time, then you come out and you're a reformed character, then you've got to get another opportunity to come back into society. And I think he's worked his way back up into Livingston, into the job, and he deserves a crack at it, and he deserves the SFA to give him the blessing to do that, because, as we said, he looks as if he's reformed, he regrets what he's done, and he's trying to get on with his life. So hopefully the SFA can see he's a fit and proper person and let him get on with his life, and he's doing a great job at Livingston, and let him get on with it.
Yep, absolutely. So predictions on this one. Livingston against Celtic. I am going for Livingston to win 2-1, Tam.
Oh. Listen, it's difficult because we don't know the Celtic team. If it was similar to what they played at the weekend, you'd Livingston strongly. I'm going to sit in the fence here. I'm going to go for a draw. I think it'll be 2 each.
Charlie?
1-1.
Roughie?
Well, I'm going to take a gamble that Edward and Griffiths and all the likes are going to be playing, so I'm going to go Celtic to win 2-1.
2-1. Okay, so there you are, Tam. That's a difference that will allow a change in the old predictor. Not that we're taking it too seriously, but nevertheless, of course, we always comment on, just in case you're not accustomed to what the show's all about, we always try and make sure our cameras are fixed in the proper position before we come on the show. But every now and then we fail on that. But we always try and offer you an opinion on the news of the day and the ongoing situation on the news. So, as ever, we always try and tell people, offer your own opinion. If you can, try and keep it as decent as possible, if you possibly can, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on our Twitter feed. We try and manage it and police it as best as we possibly can, but there's always the odd one or two who will creak through. So, with that in mind, George Cumming, this isn't the show for you, really. I don't think anybody on this programme says we. So, there you are. I couldn't resist today, guys. Got to get one in. Always like to leather one who just
it's been a while,
completely
Peter.
and utterly. Well, absolutely. There's always one that sneaks through from Jupiter to join the programme, and maybe this is not the show for them. A club programme is what you need. Yeah.
Peter, is he a single cell amoeba?
Yeah, an
That's
amoeba.
another one of your favourites.
Well, no, absolutely. The other thing about it, as you well know, Tam and Charlie, you're well accustomed to this. Roughie's not accustomed to it because Roughie's just found out that is such a thing as the internet. But I sampled a few of people giving us a right good kicking on social media.
You were getting it tight, Peter.
Well, and I have to tell you, one of my mates actually sent me, and you'll love this, Charlie. One of my mates actually said, by the way, you'll never believe it, on one of the forums, they've got you in a Rangers strip. And I remember actually the great Sandy Jardine mentioning to us, Charlie, there was a few charity games coming across. Don't worry, we can hear you, Tam. Right across the board, there are always charity games that you like to play, Charlie. And Sandy Jardine had asked us to come and play in a charity game at Ibrox. So, as you know, Charlie, when you love football, you'll play football anywhere to get a game. To say you've played at these, I mean, it's lucky for you, you're a professional, you get to play at these grounds, but for journalists, it's an absolute joy to get to play at these grounds.
No, I think like you say, it's to play at any of the old firm ground, Celtic, Rangers, Hampden, to get that opportunity, you've got to take it with both hands. It doesn't matter if it's wearing the Rangers strip or wearing the Celtic. It's if you are on an outsider, no professional player, to go and get an opportunity to sample that surface and the whole build up to a game, it's incredible. I'm fortunate enough to play at some nice stadiums, and I still get excited. Well, no, it's now gone to some of the grounds that we've been at recently, but when I was playing the Premier League, to go to Old Trafford, Wembley, and people like that, it was a great day, and great to be able to step on the pitches.
Yeah, although Roughie, the photograph that was sent of me in the Rangers strip, I immediately went out for a 5-mile run because it wasn't too flattering.
Does it? Oh, I seen that. I missed that. Sorry, I seen the picture.
Oh, the picture's brilliant.
Like young Moby.
Listen. Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, absolutely.
To be fair, blue suits you.
Yeah, well, listen,
that blue top.
I'm surprised you never turned to smoke when you put that on.
Well, listen, I get a lot of jip from my mates on it, but I think I've been out, luckily enough to say that I've played alongside the likes of John Blackley, Roughie, and Hibs top, played in the Hearts top with Robbo, Dunfermline tops, you name it, and to get to play with some of the professionals and the idols down through the years, Roughie, has been an absolute joy. It's great when you get to play with some of them.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you ever go up the stairs for John Blackley at any particular time. I missed pass, because if you did get the stair, you'll never ever forget it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, can I tell? Yeah.
I don't know if you can remember this. It was Hibs against Dundee United. Alex Smith was the manager of Dundee United, and John Blackley was the assistant. And it was the time Russell Latapy got a last-minute penalty kick in the 99th minute. Matthias Jack didn't. Dundee United put the ball out in the last minute. I think Jim Lachlan went down injured, and Matthias Jack never threw the ball back to him. He threw the ball down to me in the touchline. It was 0-0, and I got a corner kick. And the Dundee United fans were going mental. The ball came in and Alan Phelan gave a penalty. And Russell Latapy scored in the 99th minute. And Dundee United were bottom of the league. And John Blackley had me with the throat. I was about 19. Had me with the throat in the tunnel at Easter Road. Oh, my bottle crashed.
Yeah. Do you know what I remember, Charlie? And you'll appreciate this. There are two particular players that stuck in my head with this, and I'll never forget it. One of them was John Blackley, who, as Roughie knows, was an absolutely top-drawer player for Hibs. I mean, he was magnificent and a Scotland internationalist, a really great player. But when he turned out for the team that we had a charity team that raised lots of money in Edinburgh. But when he turned out for us, Charlie, he was wearing what could only be described as the biggest pair of Air Jordans you've ever seen in your life. I mean, the actual platform of them was about this size, and he absolutely strolled through the game. He had the cigars out when he was playing. He was magnificent. And the other person I remember, Charlie, who was also like that, was a guy who played for Rangers, Alan McLaren, who was such a great lad. He played for Hearts as well, and he was maybe a couple of stone overweight, but he absolutely cruised the game. I mean, he was just magnificent. And pros at every level, you can always see that touch that's always there. It never leaves them.
Yeah.
No, it never leaves them. And like say, I was fortunate enough to be able to play in a couple of testimonials, and I got invited to play in Julian Speroni's testimony a few years ago. And obviously, growing up, Nimzadze was he was one of the heroes of mine. And even then, he, like you say, he was a couple of stone overweight, but what a player! His flicks, his tricks, he was just phenomenal to watch. Even in a testimonial match, and it was amazing. And these players, it never loses you. You just can't move. That's the problem. Do you know what I mean? The ability is always still there, and it's phenomenal to just see these players even walk back onto a football pitch.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Charlie, because I did actually see the photograph of you with Nimzadze the other day there. On that testimonial. Yeah. I don't know where. I can't remember where I saw it, but you were standing.
It'd been on the internet. I was on the internet there. It was just I got invited there, and obviously I never thought I'd get the opportunity to play for Dundee, and it come along, and it's obviously changed in the last 3 or 4 months. So no, it's great, and to be able to play with these type of players were phenomenal. It never leaves you how good it is. It's just like you say, your legs go or you're hanging, because your brain's still there. It's still working as quick as it was when hanging. It's just your legs go,
Roughie?
I was going to say, Peter, Danny McGrain played in a Dukla game down in Dumfries. The first 10 minutes, wee boy runs through, clearly offside, puts the ball in the back of the net, and Danny shouts the referee over and says, that was offside. He says, it's only a game. He says, it might only be a game to you, he says, but it's not just a game to me. And he just walked off. 10 minutes.
I know, but that's what professionals are like. They love to win. Absolutely brilliant. Listen, a lot of people, wondering about the Livingston game. It's still on as we speak, so unless there's a late twist in the weather, that all-weather pitch should be good enough for the game to go ahead. I don't think... is it on Sky tonight?
Yeah, it's on Sky. 1:15 the kickoff, is it?
Yeah, so if it's on Sky, I mean...
Tam will be watching it on Azerbaijan telly or something, won't he?
Yeah, well
I'll get it on Livy TV. My subscriber.
Yeah, if it's on Sky, the interviews will be quick because I don't think Celtic are speaking to anybody. But anyway, apart from that, should be interesting. Roughie, I spotted this shake-up on the Rangers board. George Leatham is coming on. He was one of the three bears and put his money where his mouth is. And he'll be joining the likes of Douglas Park, George Taylor. They obviously, alongside Robertson, Wilson, Bisgrove, Dixon and Blair will form part of that board moving forward. And I think all of them come on. They had Rangers at heart at the time when maybe the two previous boards after David Murray certainly left a lot to be desired. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think they finally got it right. I think if any of the Rangers supporters out there have seen what's happened to their club over the years, they will now look at that board and say these are the people we wished we'd had a long time ago. People that, as you said, have got Rangers at heart, and more so people who have got money and people who are more than happy to put money into the club to see it going forward. And I think that's the biggest thing of the lot, that they're all happy to invest. They're not really actually screaming for their money back. They just want to see a successful team, and that's what they're getting. And it just shows you, if your club's handled properly with people with money, it can just take you to where you are, and that's where Rangers are at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be a long battle because the other thing that comes with it, Charlie, is fine winning the league and stopping 10 in a row, which we all think is imminent. But then the expectation is, okay, you've won it, you got to go and win it again. You got to find the pounds to back the manager, to keep him there and let him continue that upward curve.
Yeah, listen, it's a long time since I've been in this position. It's not just on the pitch. I think off the pitch, the training ground, Ibrox has been redeveloped as well, and in the dressing rooms and things like that. They spent a lot of money on the training ground. So the football clubs move forward. I just think they'll be looking to add in the summer. Quality will be trying to go up again because they'll be desperate to get in the Champions League. That's where the money is. If they get in this Champions League, that will bring a lot of money back into the football club. But listen, Rangers is a big institute, and if they do get into to winning the league and back in the Champions League, more sponsors will come forward. People we want to pay to be part of it. And fair play to these lads, have put absolutely millions into the football club, and now they're starting to get their rewards, hopefully by winning the title, and that'll be the first step. But they'll look to progress next season, and they'll be looking to get better players in. One or two might leave, one of the big assets to balance the books. So that's where Ross Wilson will come in, good recruitment, and they'll be ready to go again next season because they know that Celtic will be hurting, because they'll want to try and make an amends for that, and it'll be interesting to see what happens at Celtic as well.
Yeah, and as you know, Tam, on these situations, you get a team that's remembered forever and a day. I mean, most of these guys will be able to dine out on a few sporting dinners if they are the team that stopped 10. That's something that will be in the history books for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's huge. Every single one of them will go down as a legend in the Rangers supporters' eyes. And that's just not the players, that's the staff. Gerrard, McAllister, Ross Wilson, they'll all be legends because they've stopped 10 in a row. And as you said, you still look at the Celtic team under Wim Jansen that stopped Rangers doing 10 in a row. Those guys, were very own Darren Jackson, guys like that. They're all, always remembered as the guys that stopped to 10 and forever remembered in the supporters' eyes. And that's as good as any amount of money. You know, having that respect and that aura about the supporters when you go and mix with them again. And they're great for Rangers if they go and win it to stop the 10 in a row, because every one of them will be remembered forever and a day.
Yeah. The other thing, and I don't want it to turn to, the Simon Bates radio show or Graham Norton on Radio 2, but Ronnie Chapman watches the show regularly every day. He contributes his opinion on things, and it's his birthday today. He's 43, Roughie, so it's well worth us giving some of the people who have followed us since the early days a wee mention just to say happy birthday.
Yes, obviously Ronnie, he's avid, and I'm sure you've read out some of his opinions as well. He's quite good. He's good and that's pretty neutral as well, I would say. But no, thanks very much, Ronnie. The more Ronnies, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Roughie. All
Because
of us
if
were
it
just
too.
yeah, well, I was just about to say we're all just staring at you, wondering where you were going with that there, Roughie. But it was a fantastic pad just to say happy 43rd, Ronnie. And we're delighted you're part of the family. And thanks to everyone who's mentioned. Yep, it is Sky Sports. It's the main event tonight on the programme. So that's good. We'll be watching it and seeing exactly how Kilmarnock, how Livingston and Celtic fare. The reason I mentioned Kilmarnock there is I want to get your thoughts, guys, on Tam. What do you make of Killy applying for this £1 million loan from the Scottish Government? Is it a bit of a brass neck in your mind?
No, listen, I think I'm surprised that more clubs have not applied for the loan. Listen, every club must be really struggling at the minute, Peter. I'm not going to criticise any clubs for struggling for money. It's been a long pandemic. It's 10 months going on to 11 months, and listen, clubs must be struggling. So if they're needing a loan, if any teams are needing a loan, then I don't see a problem with it. As long as they can obviously afford to pay it back once the supporters come back in, Peter. But I don't really see. But do you think there's a big issue with them getting the £1 million loan?
No, I think the dilemma for a lot of people is, and I'm not having a pop at Kilmarnock here, I'm getting your thoughts on it. I think a lot of people are looking and saying, okay, you've signed players, all the clubs have signed players. Then you have a situation where a number of Premier League clubs have then said, look, we need to cut the wages, which is right because it's difficult. And then, of course, Roughie, there's a £20 million kitty that the Premiership clubs can all call on to take a slice of it to try and get them to the end of the season. And as Tam mentioned there, Kilmarnock are taking advantage of that.
I'm sure every club in the Premiership will be looking, do they need it? Do they want to take it? It's interest-free. And I'm sure that there will be a lot of clubs in the Championship looking at, what isn't used up. Because if it isn't used up, maybe it could get used somewhere else. Maybe other clubs who are more needy of it could take a bit of the loan. As I said, it's interest-free. So I think there's a long way to go. I don't think Kilmarnock's the only club. And we know Billy Bowie has put millions into that club. So there must be at one stage when you say, right, enough is enough. Let's use the money that's put on the table and it's interest-free. So, but I wouldn't think Kilmarnock's the only club in the SPFL who'll be delving into that loan. I would say nearly every club would be having a look at it to see what they can get out of it.
Yeah, well, they're projecting a seven-figure loss due to the pandemic. So you can tell right away that Kilmarnock are just one of many clubs, Charlie, will be looking and saying, we need this money to get us through to the end of the season. And then hopefully, the money that comes in, if people start getting back together and out to watch football for the next season. Although, Charlie, I wonder when the doors will open to fans getting back in, because we always say, well, last year I remember us saying it won't happen for the end of last season. This season we're looking at it, and already this morning I read in the paper some people saying, look, they've got to call a halt to the European Championships because it's just not going to be open to the fans the way they would want it to be. I think they're suggesting that the European Championships should take place in December.
Let's go. The first point with the Kilmarnock thing, I think it's a right decision. I think if the opportunity is there for an interest-free loan to take it, you've got to take it, and as long as they want to pay it back and afford to pay it back, then why would they not take it? I think it would be a blow for the national team, our national team, if it was cancelled. You know, we're on a bit of a high at the moment and something to look forward to. So it's a worrying time, but I don't see any supporters coming back anytime soon. You know, we're in January now, and you know the season's 3 months to go really, and interesting. You know, I don't think anything's going to happen before this season. So, you know, hopefully by the start of next season we can start getting supporters in, and we can start enjoying some fans at the games and have a bit of an atmosphere.
Do you think there'll be fans, Charlie, in August?
Yeah.
I'm hoping, but at the moment, no, I don't think there will be. I'm hoping that we will get some fans for next season by August, but you know, we just don't know what's around the corner. So, you know, small part of me is saying I would love it to happen, but big part saying it definitely won't happen.
Tam?
Just typical Scotland, Peter, isn't it? That we qualify and it's getting cancelled. I was just thinking that. Plus,
at least we get. At least we're in the tournament longer than we thought we would be.
Aye, December. Yeah. I mean, that's just
the PLZ bus cancelled then, or no?
Well, listen, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, the most important question.
Put me right down there.
Well, listen, keep your spirits up, Tam. We've got to make sure that you're okay.
That was keep me going. That was keep me going for June. Us four run them up.
With all due respect, McManus, since you've joined PLZ Soccer, I think your profile and everything that's coming your way has increased greatly. I mean, Roughie and I are looking forward to the first night out, because you should be able to afford to buy the first 2 or 3 rounds, McManus. Is that fair?
Yeah, your numbers went through the roof, son. It's a give and go situation.
Brilliant. I'm just checking here, Charlie. There's a call from Al Jazeera to see if Tam can write a column for them as well. It's just never ending for him at the moment. He's everywhere. And fair play to you, Tam. I'm delighted for you. Roughie, the big question for us is, when are we going to have a PLZ staff night out? I mean, the amount of people I speak to, my mates who work in all different areas of, business, just longing for that ability to sit next to your mate, even at a game of football or out for a pint. And by the way, I think the first people who should be allowed out for a pint en masse are NHS workers, because I would even work behind the bar to serve them, Roughie, to give them a night out. Would you not?
Yeah, I think everybody knows what they've done from day one. I think it has been. What they've actually done, and as we know, they're always very willing in everything that they do. So yeah, I think that'd be good. We had a night out.
Where are you going with that, Roughie?
This show's just going in a different direction.
He's through with there, but
Charlie.
I don't know, Peter. I mean, everybody, we're now looking at this jag, and I was listening to the government this morning, all arguing amongst each other. It's not coming out quick enough, and you're not doing this, and you're not doing that. I personally don't know where we are, and I don't think anybody has. We all wanted the jag, and it's out there, but there's a scale now. I think it's 1 to 7, and I was looking at down the list. Where I was first of all before I looked at all yous, and. And I don't think I'm getting a jab till March. So that's when you start going. What about everybody else? And where you take it for there. So I don't think we're going out anywhere in the near future.
Thanks for that, Roughie. That's really
what you should do with it. Just book a holiday for the end of May, and if it happens, it happens.
Yeah,
my missus said that to me this morning, saying, "Oh, I can't wait for the holidays in the summer." I said, "Listen, love, as close as you'll be getting is going to Loch Lomond for a day out. That'll be as close as you get on holiday."
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Charlie, I might be taking a trip through to Burnt Island if we get the visa stamped. That's about as far as it's going to go at the moment, the way things are looking. But nevertheless, the one thing that's a joy, Tam, and this is the point that reverts back to Monday as well, and the government and everything. Football is such a key part of everybody's life. It is the most popular sport in this country, and we just we want it to continue because it's keeping everybody going when they're in the house. To watch a game of live football is a blessing, even though the sound would do you in.
No, Peter, it's big time. We need the football to keep going. It's keeping everybody going. People are looking forward to a game on a Saturday, watching a game, whether it's on their own club channels or live on Sky or Premier Sports. You've got something to look forward to, because there's not a lot to look forward to for everybody at the minute. We're all stuck in the house, and I think if the football get canned and all, we'd all be struggling big time. So I think it's important that we keep the football going. I think for mental health, keep the football going. Everybody can watch it. Support the team, talk about it on forums and social media and shows like this. Keeps everybody talking and communicating. And I just think it's massively important that the football keeps going. So hopefully, all the players and the staff at every club are being responsible, and they have been over the piece to keep the football going, because it keeps us going and all, and keeps us in a gig.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Tam. It's all about keeping you in a gig. Roughie, I'm just looking. There is one really good bit of news, which is Motherwell revealed profits of over 350,000 in their accounts. I mean, it's 356,590 compared to a loss. Obviously, the turnover is up a little bit, but the player sales, that's the key to it all. For clubs like Motherwell, Roughie, they've got the bounce back loan. That's the only external debt. And I think when the general meeting goes over all the figures, they'll be in a good place.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, when you get 3.2 million for one player, and that player leaves without any fuss, and the supporters and everybody buy into what the club have been doing, and I think that's what Motherwell have been like for the last 2 or 3 years. They've been selling a player and bringing in good players for down south, whoever that is, it identifies them, and it's worked. It's worked for the last 2 or 3 years. Okay, maybe not working this year, but you can't expect to happen all the time. Enjoy the good years, and hopefully Motherwell can get out of where they are. Because that's the only thing that will get thrown into everybody's face if they were to get into a relegation battle or get relegated. It doesn't matter how much money came in. The people will then start to criticise, the way the club's been run. But as it is just now, the fantastic figures in this day and age.
Peter. Yeah, and Roughie, the news on that is James Scott's money was used for this one. Turnbull's money goes into next season's accounts, Tam.
Yeah, no, listen, they've been... It's not just the players that they've sold on that have played first-team games. They're also selling younger boys. I'm obviously part of the SFA set up at Braithurst, and there's a few boys come through, and they've sold likes of Stuart McKinstry, who went to Leeds without playing a game at Motherwell. Rhys McAleer went to Norwich. So these guys went for 6 figures. So it's not just the guys that are getting into the first team. It's boys that are coming through at 16, 17 who are really, really good, and big clubs down south are coming in and paying 100, 200 grand for them. So they've got a great youth set up, Motherwell, and I think that's a huge part of the profits that they've got today. So they've got to give a big pat in the back to the youth coaches and the youth set up at Motherwell.
Yeah, and I just hope, Charlie, and this is the key to the next few years, I hope that clubs realise it's a very simple process from Motherwell to countless other clubs, which is in that academy, invest in your youngsters, give them game time, sell them on, and just keep the whole conveyor belt going, and you will survive and hopefully flourish.
Yeah, Pierre, it's the way forward for Scottish clubs. We're in a good position, young players. I still just think that sometimes the valuation of young players in the Scottish game now is incredible. But we keep turning players. We keep giving players down to England. The English clubs know what type of characters they're going to get. They're going to get good, hard-working players that want to improve and get better. And it's fair play to the lads at Motherwell who have done an extremely phenomenal job producing players year after year. And that's their model. That's how you work. And you come in the door, and as a manager, you know that you have to sell one of your best players every summer or every 18 months to keep the club afloat. And they keep doing it. And Campbell's as a top player, and the next one who probably look to sell for a decent value. So no, they keep winning football matches. Obviously they've struggled this year, but I think Graham Alexander will get them at the mess that they're in, and they'll keep selling the players, and the club will be in a good position for the next few years.
Yeah. Charlie, you won't be with us. Hold on. What were you going to say, Roughie?
I was going to say, Peter, when you're at a club like Dundee and Partick Thistle and the likes, if you've got an academy and you've got a boy that's been in that academy since he was 13, and all of a sudden at 17 he's in the first team, and if you're lucky enough to have 3 or 4 of them, the fans absolutely love it. It's the way you should go. You know, there's nothing better than seeing a kid that's been there a long, long time and all of a sudden he's an established player in your first team. And as Charlie says, if you get a chance after a couple of years, you can make money off them, selling them on, even better. But from a supporter's point of view, I think it's a joy to see a young boy who's came through the ranks and getting a chance. And getting a chance is the big one, because a lot of them don't get a chance at certain clubs. So if they get the chance and they take it, well done to them. And it's always a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always a greater affinity, I think, with supporters when they see one of their own in the team. That's the key to it all. Anyway, apart from that, Charlie, I was going to say you won't be with us on Friday. Arbroath against Dundee.
Tough one. I think it's more of a mental game for us, knowing what we're going to be coming up against. It could be rain, wind, pitch not be great. It's going to be a tough game. We found it tough at home against them. You know, well organised. I like Dick. I think he's a great guy. Him and Pink and Big Rab. You know, they've got a good squad there. They've been together a while, had success, and you know, obviously they are down the bottom, but you know they're good enough to get out of that, and it will be a tough match. But we have to apply ourselves. We're in good form. Obviously, the game last weekend off against Ayr, and if we want to do anything this year, these are the games that we probably have to win to keep pressure on Hearts at the top.
Yeah, and for the benefit of anybody who wasn't listening attentively there, that's Dick Campbell. He was talking about the Arbroath manager. Roughie?
Well, just to give you a wee insight, Charlie, what to expect on Friday night when the gale force wind gets up. We played them last year. Arbroath decided to shoot with the wind. Obviously, every time the ball went down the park, the ball went out, and another ball came out the dugout, and then another ball came out the dugout, and there was balls coming. Every time the ball went out the park, there was a ball coming out the dugout. Second half, we shoot. The first time the ball got kicked out the park, there was no balls coming out the dugout. It was nothing. It was a one ball for 45 minutes.
I was fortunate enough. My dad played there when I was younger, and obviously I was around there all the time. And it was some of the weather was horrendous, and you seen the games and that, and it's you got to adapt to it. I think it's great that you get these type of games. It's something different, and no, it's a challenge that I'm looking forward to. It's going to be a different type of game from what we are playing on, surface and things like that. So no, it's football, and you got to try and win a football match.
Yeah, and of course the implications for. Well, absolutely, Tam, and the implications for
those games
the implications are very serious, because the pitch will have that wind coming in off the coastline, and if Charlie starts playing too many 40-yard diagonals, Arbroath could go into liquidation by the end of the game, because those balls are not cheap, let me tell you. So I was just about to say, Arbroath
up Norway.
Has a game ever been abandoned in professional for not having any balls left? We've run out of balls.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He's a brilliant lad. We've had him on the show, Roughie. Absolutely magnificent. I understand what you're saying, Charlie. Great lad. Listen, last night I decided, am I going to go for it? And I watched Leicester City against Chelsea, and you know, I actually thought before the game kicked off, Charlie, Leicester will win this. Chelsea haven't got any what I would call gold dust in their team at the moment. Maybe Mason Mount at a push, but the rest of them don't excite me.
No, it's not going for the plan for spending 200 odd million at the moment for Chelsea. I thought Leicester, I watched West Ham as well, and thought Leicester were excellent right from the start. You know, they got Madison, Farfan. I thought Johnny Evans was excellent at the back, and the old guard really, you know, Schmeichel and Vardy just keep turning out results and performances. So, you know, I see that you know they've got a chance of winning the league. It will be tough for them, but Brendan's got them playing some great stuff, and you know, good luck to them, because they were a joy to watch. Especially, you know, if you put them up against Chelsea and what they've spent, it was a one-sided game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And of course, you only have to look at the top of the table. They're there. Can they do it in this season of all seasons? Here's a wee look at Leicester City.
Leicester City are top of the Premier League after last night's impressive 2-0 win over Chelsea and must now be considered as serious title contenders. But how did they get there? When manager Brendan Rodgers arrived in February 2019, he inherited a stagnant mid-table squad from Claude Puel, but promised to take the club to the next level. Despite losing big money players each summer, such as Harry Maguire and Ben Chilwell, Rodgers has managed to build a youthful, balanced team. James Maddison is the jewel in the crown and is supported by shrewd Rodgers signings, including Yuri Tielemans and Wesley Fofana, whilst they're still spearheaded by Jamie Vardy, last season's Golden Boot winner. The Foxes soared up the table last term with their lethal attack and just missed out on a Champions League spot. They're now in the knockouts of this year's Europa League. The Foxes are equally adept at the back, having won all 12 games that they've been ahead in this campaign. They're unbeaten in 6 and can conquer anyone on their day, as their 5-2 drubbing of title favourites Man City back in September showed. Last night's win will inevitably bring talk of a title challenge, something which Rodgers relishes but is playing down.
People will associate with us because we're up about it and consistently playing well. You get the qualities of Man City here, amazing. Liverpool, the champions, Manchester United been great. So, listen, for us to look and see Leicester City up in and around that with the levels of teams that are there, of course that makes me really happy. But I also understand that for us to be there, it's going to be a huge challenge.
At the halfway stage of their famous 2016 triumph under Claudio Ranieri, they had just one more point than they do now. And Rodgers has proved he's a winner, lifting every domestic trophy he competed for at Celtic, including a double treble and an invincible season. And who could forget the 2014 Liverpool side fronted by Luis Suarez, who came so close to ending their wait for a league. Rodgers' bumper contract runs until 2025, and with his young team, he knows he has plenty of time to try and win England's biggest prize. But in such a strange season, perhaps this will be his best chance.
Oh, Roughie, yeah, can you imagine it? The irony of all ironies. Celtic lose the chance to win 10 in a row. Leicester City become the Premier League champions in England.
Well, they're certainly up there with the big boys, there's no doubt about it. Man City, Man United, that I don't think they spend as much money as them. So he's got a really hard working side there. If I were him, I'd be wrapping Vardy up in cotton wool every time he leaves the park, because I think they would struggle without him. And I'm really surprised that no bigger clubs have come in with any kind of bid at all for him, because I think he's far, far better than where he is just now.
Yeah, he's only 34. He's got time, Roughie. The other thing I was going to say to you guys,
sorry to interrupt. If anybody gets the opportunity to go on the internet and look at the new training grounds, 100 million. Fantastic. Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
It is amazing, Charlie.
It's got a golf course on it, no?
Yeah,
9-hole, proper.
Brilliant.
The other thing about it, to be perfectly honest with you, is there's no doubting it. I think everybody up here knows that Brendan Rodgers was a good manager. The Celtic fans know that as well, Tam. They just didn't like the way he left the club. But he's a top-drawer manager and he gets the best out of players.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely top class. I think he's one of the best managers in the world. I honestly do. I think he's that good. I think the job he's done at Celtic, and now his decision is looking justified. He's in a title race. Let's not, Leicester can win the league this season for me. I think they can win it, and he's in a title race. So, listen, I think he's top drawer, and some of the players he's got there, like Maddison last night, was outstanding as well. They play a great brand of football. As he done it at Celtic up here. So, no, I think he's top drawer, and I think they've got every chance at least finishing the top 4 this season, if not having the right to go to the league.
Yeah, interesting point you make there, Charlie. I want Liverpool to win it because obviously I love Liverpool and have done for many, many years. But if I'm being absolutely honest about it, I just can't see anyone stopping Man City. I just think they're going through the gears now.
Yeah, they started slowly, didn't they? And they're just now picking off teams. And Pep's got a smile back in his face. He doesn't look as frustrated. I think the big lad at the back, was it Diaz or something they signed for a few quid. So yeah, he's come in. John Stones looks a totally different player. I said all season, I think he's England's best centre back. He's the best footballing centre back that they've got. I really like him. I've said a few issues off the pitch, but that's part and parcel of growing up and being life, and so he's got his head screwed on again. And now the only thing that's missing with him is that number 9 position in it. Somebody that's going to score them. Aguero looks to have just gone off the boil a little bit, and been missing with COVID and injuries, and maybe if they do go over the line, you could see them next summer going and spending big money on somebody like Haaland at Dortmund.
Yeah, if he arrives along with Messi, that would be some partnership there. I'd love to see Messi just for a swan song in the English Premier League. Tam, is that fair?
At Man City, but at Man City, where they play that brand of football, I think that's the ideal club for him, Man City under Pep. And Man City now are keeping clean sheets for fun, Peter. They're not conceding goals, and I think that's the thing for Man City. They're always score goals with the creative players they've got, but they're keeping clean sheets for fun. So I agree with you. I think they're big favourites to win it.
Yep. Well, it's a day of all days, a special day, of course. They're swearing in the American president, and we are still keeping you entertained, hopefully. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook if you can, and you can subscribe on our YouTube channel, and, of course, at PLZ Soccer on Twitter. If you want all the latest news, it's on our website. Our shop's on there, where you can get your favourite colour of Maestro training top for work, rest or play. Of course, make sure that when you get out of your car that you lock the car, just in case you've left the Maestro top in the back of the car.
Especially in Glasgow.
Just about to say is if it disappears, it's because you haven't actually paid particular attention to locking the car. But there's only a
few boys up in Springburn who run the boot.
Still have them.
Oh, mate.
I've got a couple of mates up in Springburn. They'll be over to you in East Kilbride to give you a right good leathering, McManus. Anyway, apart from anything else, listen, you can get all the news, Scottish, English, European and world football on plzsoccer.com. But from Roughie, Charlie Adam, Tam McManus and myself, Peter Martin, once again, thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.